Welcome to Illini Drive 107.1 WPGU. I'm your host, Brendyn Jones. Joined as always with Nithin Reddy. Always keeping it real with you guys. How you doing, Nithin?
I'm doing great. Although the weather it's not bad by any means.
Yeah, not by any means.
I want to preface that, but I'm like in limbo right now.
Right.
It's like mid 50s. I feel like we always talk about the weather to start. Also,
we do.
Just a quick side note, but it's like in the mid 50s. So like I brought a jacket, but I'm like sweating. But if I didn't bring one, I'd be cold.
Right.
So like,
it's weird.
Increase the temp or decrease the temp a little bit.
Try to figure it out.
Yeah.
How
about you?
It's been a weird week. Not gonna lie, I haven't had the best week, but just kind of really looking forward to the summer. Really looking forward to getting out of Champaign. Hopefully.
We're getting close.
We're getting really close. 4 weeks, and then I get to go home, be with my family, be with my friends that I haven't seen in so long. Now that I'm almost fully vaccinated, have a little bit more comfortability. My family's a little more vaccinated. My friends will be vaccinated when I go back home. So it should be a good summer. I'm very excited to go back, actually have a real summer in Chicago for the first time in a few years for me. And it's kind of just like now school is, going on, and then stuff in my family life and stuff in personal life and all that. But I'm just really, really excited to end school. And yeah, I don't know, really ready for that.
That's fair. I mean, we're so close.
So close.
That it's like, I'm just ready for the summer to get out. Even though it's not like when we were kids, when you were so excited for the summer because you just hang out with your friends for like 3 months. We still have like stuff to do in the summer.
Yeah.
Now that we're
older. We're kind of older.
But like, it's a different feeling. There isn't like the regular stresses of school. You can kind of get into a more laid back rhythm. So I feel that, Brendyn.
Yeah, I'm excited, but I'm also excited about this Illini basketball recruiting.
Oh yeah.
Throughout the season, for a few months, I think it was only Luke Goody that had committed for the 2021 class. The 2021 class was looking kind of slim, and then the season ends, and you're thinking, okay, well we still have Adam Miller. That's not a thing. Trent Frazier is declared for the NBA draft, but we don't know how that's going to go. Georgie Bashanishvili, after Brad Underwood's press conference today, pretty much seems like he's kind of ready to move on from college and do his professional thing overseas. It feels like he has the full support of the Illini community behind him, so good for him. But yeah, I mean, Omar Payne, I think, is officially transferred to the University of Illinois. That's the guy from Florida who is a 6'11", 7-foot big man, really good in the pick and roll. Didn't score a lot, didn't even really play particularly that much for Florida. But some guy that, can maybe solve some of the backup center issues that the Illini have dealt with since Kofi Coburn has been here. Obviously, we're still awaiting Kofi's decision. That probably won't come for another 2 months. But this recruiting class is kind of rounding out, and I'm going to butcher his last name. I apologize if, you're somehow listening. But 4-star recruit, trying to pull up his 24/7 right now. Brandon Podzimski. Podzimski? Podzimski.
We'll figure this out.
We'll figure this out eventually. I know we had some struggles my freshman year when Kofi Coburn came to town. Didn't know how to pronounce his name really for a while, and that was kind of embarrassing for me as a journalist. But we'll figure out about Brandon Podzimski, I guess, in the coming weeks and months. We'll figure out how to say his name. But he's from Delafield, Wisconsin, went to St. John Northwestern Academy, and has committed to Illinois. And he's a 4-star guy. Trying to pull up his recruiting file. He's a 4-star guy, 6'5" shooting guard, 195. Yeah, I mean, he had offers from Arizona State, Boise State, DePaul, Kansas, and he chose Illinois. He was recruited
Kentucky too.
Yeah, Kentucky. He was recruited by Chen, Coach Coleman, very, very hard, and he was able to. We were able to get that commitment. So that's another huge thing. Something that's really interesting. One, the Illinois journalist from I think he works News Gazette. It's Scott Ritchie. I think he was doing some research, and Podziemski is only, I think, the fourth Illinois basketball player from the state of Wisconsin.
Really?
In like program history.
Really?
Yeah, I'd have to pull up the tweet, but I saw it across my timeline, and that was like super, super interesting. Which is like so crazy because like it's the first state north.
Yeah,
and
that is surprising. Like you could name Florida players, but
right, no, exactly. Wow. And you kind of think of, I mean, at least, especially like I'm not so well versed on the history of Wisconsin basketball, but here's the tweet. It's he's the fourth player from the state of Wisconsin in Illinois men's basketball history. The other is Henry Popperfuss, who played at the university from 1908 to 1910. Keston Diemling, who played from 1926 to 1928. And then Tejon Lucas, who played 2017-2018. It's really interesting because you feel like throughout like the 90s, the 80s, the 90s, and into the early 2000s, like when Illinois was really prominent for different stretches throughout those 3 decades, I feel like you could have garnered some Wisconsin recruiting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
especially when Wisconsin wasn't like the dominant that we've seen in the last 20 years.
Right, exactly. So it's weird to me. But shout out to Brendyn Podziemski. I'll get that, man.
We got to get his name right.
I'll
this
get
is
it.
Bad.
This is really bad. I don't know how well versed you are with the Eastern European names. I butcher them every time.
I'm so bad. It took me forever to get. I mess up Luka's name all the time because some people say Luka Doncic. Some people say Doncic.
Yeah.
Some people say Doncic.
I think it's Chit, like Doncic.
Like Chich.
That's what I say.
Some people say Doncic.
Some people do say Doncic. What does what does Charles Barkley say? He probably says a combination of all of them.
Yeah.
He
probably just switches it up.
Charles and Shaquille O'Neal are not the best with names. But 6'5" shooting guard out of Delafield, Wisconsin. Last guy to really come out of Wisconsin who I'm not gonna sit here and say Tyler Hero reminds me of him, but it's just another guy that came out of Wisconsin around
similar body types.
Yeah, similar body types. Haven't seen a lot of Brendyn play. I'm gonna love to dig into that and see what that's like. Obviously, Tyler Hero was a little bit, higher of a recruit, went to Kentucky, one and done type guy. But yeah, we'll see if Brendyn has that talent to kind of add to the Illini. But with him coming in, he kind of rounds out this recruiting class that is, somewhere between like 3 or 4 guys that are somewhere between like 6'5" and 6'7". And a thing that Brad Underwood said in the press conference was that, they asked him about the length of these guys and what it is. And he said, look, for the last few years, Kofi's been able to kind of help us out on the defensive end when our length has failed on the wing. And Kofi's not going to be here forever. And whether that means he's not going to be here next year or he definitely won't be here in 2 years, 3 years, I think it's notable that Brad and his staff are kind of making that commitment to having, switchable, long 2s, 3s, and 4s to be able to play defense on this team.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the last 2 classes now if we're counting this year. Last year, you bring in Austin Hutcherson, you bring in Jacob Grandison. 2 very valuable wings. Hutcherson, we expect to actually have an impact next season after being injured for the entire year. But Grandison, we know, like phenomenal throughout the season, was a great role player. Him and DeMonte filled those wing positions very well, and they were interchangeable at certain points. Now you have 3 more guys you're bringing in that are expected to be long, good shooting, good defensively. And I think this it's clear what the roster is going to look like. It's going to be Andre Curbelo, maybe a backup point guard, and then just shooters everywhere. Because Illinois is really hitting hard on shooting. And, I mean, they were a good shooting team last year, and it worked. It was a struggle 2 years ago with Io really not being the best perimeter shooter, Trent kind of struggling, and there wasn't a ton of help outside of that on the wings. Now you have 3-point shooters all around the court. It's going to space the floor. It allows Andre Curbelo to drive. It allows Kofi Coburn to get some post touches that were at times tough, especially late in the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think that emphasis on shooting is going to be really good. I also think that you look at where Illinois fell short in the NCAA tournament, and it was because, outside of Kofi Coburn offensively, there wasn't a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
They struggled to score against this Loyola team, outside of Kofi Coburn, who I think had 20 of the 50 or 61 points that Illinois put up.
I don't remember.
Something like that.
I think it was 58. Almost.
Okay, so he had like 20-ish of the 60-ish points that Illinois put up, almost 33% of those points, give or take a few percentage points. But, yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at that game and you look at other games where Illinois struggled this year, whether that be Mizzou or whether that be Indiana, when they had to go into overtime, when you look at the Baylor game from the beginning of the year, it was the fact that there weren't a lot of guys around that could score.
Yeah.
And it was the fact that it was either a one-headed approach or it was a two-headed approach with Io and Kofi, and nothing else happened. In the games where Illinois looked the best, it was that everybody was scoring, everybody was able to have their opportunity to put the ball through the hoop. And I think that you look at other teams that are like that. You look at teams this year like Baylor and like Gonzaga and even like Michigan and even Iowa at some stretches where there's just a bunch of guys that can score at any point. I think that's how Brad is trying to build his team going forward. And as much as it was great to have Io and Kofi, two top 10 guys in the nation last year, their teams are really dangerous when there's just a lot of talent at all spaces at putting the ball in the hoop. And what makes this good is that also if these guys, continue to hone their body and get bigger and stronger with their age and with growth, they're also going to be a really scary defensive team that switches a lot and that nobody really wants to see on a given day.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of just the balanced scoring, we saw it last year. When Illinois played best, it was against Michigan. Mm-hmm. When they didn't have their best player and they just had a balanced attack, they had Trent Frazier, Andre Curbelo going off. Then they had DeMonte hitting some big threes. Adam Miller hit 2 huge threes.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a little bit disappointing to see Adam Miller, who's likely going to transfer, because he would have been a great asset on this team. It's just that now we have to figure out who are the spot-up shooters, because it seems like there's a lot of spot-up shooters, and who are the creators on this team.
Right.
Because Curbelo can't be the only creator on a team that is hopefully like Sweet 16, maybe. I mean, that should be the expectations going into the year. We still have to figure out who is going to be the supporting cast, because even looking at last year, it was 3 guys that was creating shots. DeMonte wasn't creating shots. Jacob Grandison wasn't creating shots. Even Kofi wasn't really creating shots. He was just getting in positions where it was easy for him to get shots because he's so talented and so good around the rim. Andre Curbelo is the only one of those 3 left. Trent Frazier's gone. Io DeSumo's gone. We still may see Trent come back. It's a weird situation right now. But there needs to be more than just Andre Curbelo, because even if Andre Curbelo is an All-American level player, that's not enough. You just need. We saw it in the tournament when guys were shut down. They just shriveled up, and there wasn't really a secondary option. Trent Frazier, he was 1 for 10 from the field in that game. That's a big reason why Illinois lost.
Yeah, 100%. And I think your point about, who's going to be the creators, who's just going to be spot up is something that is, you'll just have to see. I think this team is going to be very, very young again, with the exception of if Trent comes back and if Kofi comes back. But yeah, I mean, like you could look at tape all you want to, and any guy that's a 4-star recruit in high school is going to be a shot creator. Anybody's going to, they're going to be able to have their way. But when you go to the college game and things kind of get tougher defensively, tougher offensively, who's going to, have that staying power as a shot creator, we'll have to see. That's going to depend on what they see in camp. That's going to depend on what they see during hopefully a longer non-conference stretch than they had this year, and then obviously into the Big Ten stretch of next year. But yeah, I think it's just going to be super interesting. But I can't applaud Brad enough. I mean, I think last year you look at that team, you look at how the team started in terms of Io, Trent, Adam, and DeMonte for most of the year. And even when they substituted DeMonte for Grandison, pretty undersized team. You have the biggest man in the nation on as your 5, and then guys who are kind of undersized for their position outside of Io, DeSumo, to go around him. and having that commitment to then be oversized in the 2 and 3 position, most notably, that's kind of exciting to have that come in.
It is, and if you're looking at some of the guys, and if I'm going back to my original point about who's going to be that secondary playmaker, Luke Goody, I think everyone kind of knew wasn't coming in.
Yeah,
he's going to be your spot up shooter. God, how do we say his name? Podzemski. I'm just going to call him Brendyn for now.
Yeah, call him Brendyn.
Brendyn, he's at least more willing to take it on the floor. Granted, it's like high school tape when you're looking at it, so it's not the same. But he's willing to put it on the deck. I'm not saying Luke Goody isn't, but it's just what Luke Goody is. There is some potential that Podzemski kind of develops into maybe like an Iggy Brazdeikis sort of kind of guy that was for Michigan, where you're not going to give him like 40 touches a game. That's going to be Andre Curbello's job. But you're going to get him on some switches, on some cuts, on any sort of screening action for him that allows them to go downhill and doesn't just create spot-up players and Andre Curbello responsible for the entire offense.
Definitely. I'm sorry, I was looking at pronunciation for
What'd you get?
From IlliniBoard.com. This paragraph says, I looked for an interview to find out how he pronounces his name. Found this report from a Milwaukee TV station where they use his name several times. The pronunciation, Podzemski. So like Jim, like DJIM, like Jim, and then ski. Podzemski. I can see it.
I mean, I guess I would not have guessed that.
I think it's kind of close. I don't know, and obviously that's something that we'll have to wait.
It seems like a Polish name. I mean, I could be very wrong.
Yeah.
The Polish names are just.
I'll ask around.
Okay,
definitely. I got my Polish connect, so
yeah.
I'll see what's up, and then on Monday we'll come back and I'll have it for you here. But I mean, there's videos about him that say like the next Tyler Hero. I don't know how accurate that is, but if he plays a little bit like Tyler Hero, that's good for Illinois, because we just talked about for 5 minutes how they need another guy who's going to put the ball on the floor and be able to create shots.
I mean, he's a lefty, so you can only compare him to Manu Ginobili or James Harden. Like, that's the rule.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm getting definitely, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, James Harden's also 100% a different ball handler today than he was when he was in college. So, I don't know, but I was gonna say the Ginobili type. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think it'll be really, really cool and crazy to look at if he's some guy that turns out for Illinois, and I think that hopefully he does. And I want to thank the great state of Wisconsin for sending him our way.
Yeah. So what this means is I think Illinois only has one player left, one spot left to fill.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I guess we still have to see about Kofi, but Io's for sure gone, Georgie's gone, Adam Miller's gone, Trent's gone. So that's 4 players out, and we've got 2. Well, am I missing someone? Because then it should be completely filled, right? Because you're bringing in 3 players, and then you have Amar Payne coming in through the transfer portal.
Right. So it's the 3 2021 guys, and it's Amar Payne. You got Curbello.
Well, I mean, just going like 4 in, 4 out. So.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about 4. Okay. Yeah.
So the spots are filled then, right?
I think, unless they get some sort of extra scholarship because
of COVID.
Say like if Trent came back, I don't think his scholarship goes against the team.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. We'll have to find out. I'm not that well versed in the scholarship.
That's the only thing harder than like contracts.
It's like figuring out like which scholarships.
Yeah, eligibility in college is really hard.
Yeah, it's tough, bro. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. What all that means and like how impactful that is. I'm reading more of this Illini board story, and it says perhaps the rankings that has me most excited. Sam Vecini from The Athletic, who's like their NBA guy.
Yeah.
He's been ranking the top 50 available college players. Now that's like guys coming in, or the guys who are like recruits, and also guys who are in the transfer portal. 6th is Adam Miller. That's
wow.
Yeah, I mean like, that's good, but like also sad.
Yeah.
4th, Ty Washington. 12, Mac McGlung. And number 13, our guy, Pajemski.
Really?
Yeah.
13. Was that including like players that have committed though?
I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah,
so this is like probably not a lot of transfer guys, but not a lot of seniors, and they've already committed. And he was ranked 13th before he committed. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, he's a guy that comes in and is able to make an impact. But yeah, I mean, that should be exciting, and I'm really excited to have them get to camp and kind of be able to watch some clips from practice and see which guys are like that and which guys, we'll see. And like, hopefully by next year, in August and in September, when me and Nithin are back talking, we'll have some semblance of what this roster will look like and kind of get excited about this team.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be able to have one of those like under the radar practices that just get leaked where you're allowed, like fans are allowed to come in and watch. Because I remember seeing like Alan Griffin for the first time at one of those.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Alan Griffin. I love this guy. Yeah. This guy's going to be great for us next year. And then, he filled his role very well. But what do we agree on his name? Pajemski?
As of now, Pajemski.
Pajemski. I every time I look at his name, I just see Podzemski.
Yeah.
And it's hard. But it would have been nice to just see him and like Luke Goody and RJ Melendez just come in and have like some run 2 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll just have to wait.
We'll have to wait, and that's tough. You guys will also have to wait. We are going to take our first break. When we come back, man, more sports talk. I hate to keep you on the edge of your seat, but, I have something brewing in my head. Got to figure it out before we display it live on the radio. But stick with us on 107.1 WPGU. What a song from Kings of Leon. That brings me back to like when I was like 10 or whenever that song dropped.
I feel like, no, that was definitely like before we were born.
Really?
I think that was like 90s.
No way.
80s.
Okay, I'm going to do some research. But welcome back to Illini Drive.
I'll do some research.
Okay, you do some research. You're the research guy. Welcome back to Illini Drive, 107.1 WPGU, man. It is Wednesday. It is me and Nithin's show. And you guys know what that means. For the rest of the hour, it's hot takes. It's Hot Take Wednesday.
Brendyn, you're right. It says 2008.
Yeah, I thought it was right. I didn't know. Like, I was like, wow, why would it be like?
I thought it was 90s. I don't know.
It's a very 90s like sounding alternative rock.
Yeah.
So I can understand where you're coming from.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. Thank you for the information. It's Hot Takes Wednesdays. That's when me and Nithin throw our hot takes out. Today is going to be a little bit of a longer segment. This is going to be the recurring segment for the last segment of each Wednesday show. And Nithin, told me he has 7.
I actually have 8 now.
Oh, he has 8. Oh my goodness. Okay.
So we could do some of them quick, but I was thinking like there's not a lot of sports going on right now.
It's not.
For the rest of the semester, there's not going to be a lot of sports going on. So, hey, Hot Take Wednesday.
Hot Take Wednesday. And we're going to start off with sports hot takes.
Okay.
And like discuss those. And
should I start it off?
Yeah, and then we're going to head into some hot takes that are just about, life and everything else, man. Go ahead.
My first one. Speed golf should be bigger than regular golf.
What is speed golf?
So, okay. I'm glad you don't know what it is. So it's called speed golf or extreme golf. There's a couple other names.
Okay.
But basically what you're trying to do is finish first. So you're just trying to play golf as fast as you can.
So you're not trying to get as...
Strokes don't matter.
Strokes don't matter.
It's about, like, if you clocked it, how long it would take. So I think it should be a sport, and I'll give a couple of reasons. So for starters, the main argument against golf being a sport is that you're not exerting energy. You don't have to be an athlete. For speed golf, you got to be an athlete if you want to finish fast because, 1, you got to carry your clubs. 2, you got to run with them.
Can you not use the golf cart?
No, you can't. You can't use a golf cart.
Oh, that's devastating.
Yeah.
You're going like sometimes like 500 meters or yards. Like through a whole course or something?
Yeah, 500 yards. Yeah, for like a par 5.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
And it would add so much excitement because imagine like just for 2 hours going back and forth between like people speeding through their rounds.
Right.
That would be so exciting. And then if you did a playoff where like, well, okay, a playoff would probably never happen. But if it was, let's say, two people just trying to finish their last hole, you're going and they're just racing to get it in the pin. I think it would be really exciting.
I like that. I think that would be like ESPN the Ocho. Like I could definitely see that.
But I think it should be bigger than golf. I think it's more than ESPN.
You think it's more than
ESPN 8 the Ocho?
You think it could get up to ESPN 2?
I think it should be ESPN. Like, I think it should be bigger than golf. Like, people watch the Masters. Big statement. There should be the Masters of Speed Golf.
Masters of Speed Golf. And like I think that's the biggest critique on golf is that people say, oh, like it's not really a sport because you're not that physically exerting or whatever. But like you add running around with the clubs and having to do 18 holes of like between like 200 and 500 yards and like that tires me out. You have to really be like that. And then that's obviously going to
it's going to be about like I think 3 to 5 miles of running somewhere in that range. So that's a lot of mileage on you.
Yeah.
Plus you got to be carrying your clubs. It also adds like an interesting wrinkle where how many clubs do you bring? Because you can't bring your full set now.
Right.
You can probably only bring like a driver. Yeah. Maybe like a 5-iron and like a sand wedge. I don't know what else. And then a putter. Like that's probably it.
Or you're running.
Yeah.
That's wild. My first hot take, and this hurts me because my favorite basketball player is on that team. Or was on that team.
Okay.
2019 playoffs. The biggest shot of that playoffs, Kawhi Leonard is falling in the right baseline, shoots over half of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, hits the rim about 5 times, sinks in, wins that game. The game was tied. That's +2. Wins that game, goes to the Eastern Conference Finals. They beat the Bucks in 5 or 6. I can't remember. 6. I think.
6. And
then they beat the Warriors in 6.
Mm-hmm.
That game, I was watching the end of that game. I remember because I was on a cruise at the time, actually.
Oh.
And I was watching the end of that game.
What's that vibe like? Watching?
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Just watching.
I'm also not a big cruise guy anymore.
Oh, okay.
That was like my first cruise I'd went on since I was like really, really young.
Okay. And
I went on it and like it's cool. Like I enjoyed it, but it's also like I would rather be on land.
Yeah. I think cruises are much cooler when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Because one, it's like, oh my God, I'm living on this place that's moving.
Yeah.
And also, like, you're out in the, like, it's like a tropical sort of vibe.
Right,
you get to do whatever you want.
100%.
It's a vacation.
Yeah. But that's another hot take, but I agree.
Okay.
I'm much more of a land activities person. But anyway, so this is 76ers team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Elias Harris. Josh Richardson was there.
No, he wasn't there yet.
Who was their point guard? Like, or their small guard. I wouldn't even call him the point guard if you, like, have Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons.
They had JJ Redick on that team. Is that who?
Oh, yeah. JJ Redick. So, like, really, really talented starting 5.
Mm-hmm.
They only had that team for a year after, Jimmy Butler then decided to leave in free agency, go to the Heat.
Mm-hmm.
But that team, if that shot doesn't go in, if it bounces one way, Kawhi puts an inch more pressure on it, and it doesn't go in.
Mm-hmm.
They beat the Raptors in overtime, Game 7 overtime. Then they beat the Bucks because that team is just so good defensively with Joel Embiid, with Ben Simmons. I think Giannis, the same thing that happened against the Raptors kind of happens against 76ers. And obviously this is the biggest what if because if you start doing what ifs, you can't really – it's hard to factor in injuries. But if the same thing kind of happens where Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant goes down against or even if one of them goes down against the 76ers, that team is so good defensively and then even offensively, I think they win a championship.
I've heard this argument before, and it is interesting. My one thing is I think people forget about the Bucks in this situation.
Yeah.
And that Giannis was so good against the Sixers throughout that season.
He was.
So that would be my pushback. I don't think it's impossible that they beat the Warriors, especially if there are injuries to Klay Thompson and / Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant, when he came back, was kind of just a spot-up shooter. Granted, it was like half a quarter he played, but he wasn't the Kevin Durant we saw previously because he was still injured. I don't think this is unreasonable. I just think I wouldn't necessarily buy it completely.
Really? I buy it 100%. I think I didn't buy it completely until I saw Jimmy Butler lead that Heat team through last year's playoffs.
See, but
that's what made me feel like
Jimmy was not beloved with that Sixers team, though.
I agree, but I also think that when it came down, like that's the weird part about that team is that they didn't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Brown is not a good coach.
Yeah,
and that's why he's not the coach there anymore. They had issues with that. Jimmy Butler really didn't. I think he's still cool with Embiid. I don't think he liked Ben Simmons a lot. I don't even think Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons like each other specifically that much. I've heard, or like they've said things where it's like, yeah, we play basketball together, but like we don't really hang out. But that's the thing that makes this so interesting is that there was this crazy, like, not even a feud, but just like a kind of like, okay, we're all just here, like, let's play basketball aspect to this team that is so foreign. And it was so like, it felt like such like a Frankenstein, like, let's all put it together.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I think that if that works, then it makes this so much crazier. And just seeing like Joel Embiid being a top 10 defensive player each year. Ben Simmons, 2 years ago, who wasn't as good defensively as he is now, but right now is a top 3 defensive player in the league.
He was still very good.
He's always been really good defensively. Jimmy Butler being a top 15 wing defender. JJ Redick being a great spot-up shooter. And even Tobias Harris, even though he kind of didn't really come to what he had been previously until Jimmy Butler left the team, being a solid defender and a pretty good offensive piece. Like, I think that team had enough to beat the Bucks, and I think that they did have enough to compete with the Warriors.
That was such a talented team. I remember watching their first game after getting Tobias Harris,
and
I immediately thought they were going to win the title just because, yes, what you said about them defensively was so true. And then you throw in the fact that they have Jimmy Butler, a late game scorer. They have Ben Simmons, one of the best transition offensive players in the league. They have Joel Embiid, arguably the most dominant big man in the league. And they have great shooters like Tobias Harris and JJ Redick.
Mm-hmm.
I do see your point. I'm not 100% there yet, though.
I feel that.
I do have like a spin-off hot take that I didn't list, but
tell me.
It's Damian Lillard's shot over Paul George is way more impressive than Kawhi Leonard's shot.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because they were both in the same season within like maybe 2 weeks of each other.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 2 weeks. I'm very mad about that because I was watching that game in my dorm freshman year, and it was close to the end of the year. It was like a week or two before school ended.
Yeah.
And I lived in Weston Hall freshman year. I think room 470.
I have a story about it too. Like the same thing in my apartment on Gregory. With my roommates.
And so I'm watching, just chilling, and my roommate's there with his girlfriend just hanging out. And then it's literally the end of the fourth quarter, like such an important game, right? And these random guys like just don't even knock, walk into our room, and they're like a little bit older than us, and like you can tell, and I'm like what is going on? Like, what are y'all doing? And they're like sitting there, and they were like, hey, like we're on our Weston bar crawl, we're seniors graduating, and we lived in this room. We just wanted to see what it was like. Obviously inebriated, didn't knock. Don't know how these guys got into the dorm in the first place. It was very off-putting because I didn't know what to do in that situation. It was like 6 guys tried to come in our room all at once, and I was like, y'all gotta like back up. Then they were like, yeah, it was kind of like it's so different in here. I was like, yeah, well, 2 different people live here, and it's 4 years ago. Anyway, long story short, turn back to the game because that situation probably took like 2 or 3 minutes to figure out. Turn back to the game right after he hits the shot, and I don't ever see the shot live, and every time I see the replay of that shot, it makes me so angry.
I feel bad.
I could have seen it, and I have some pushback. Okay. I think so. For support of your argument, I think Damian Lillard ending what was the Thunder, basically.
Yeah, I think that's part of my argument.
Ending the Thunder and what they'd been since, honestly, Kevin Durant. Kind of like competing for at least prominence in the Western Conference, if not competing for a championship. And Damian Lillard shooting that, and then, Paul George being traded and Russell Westbrook being traded. And they were still good the next year, but that's mostly because of Chris Paul. Now they're obviously at the bottom of the league. That's a huge thing to it. And also the whole Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook and Paul George competition. They're all arguing. They're all like talking back and forth. That's huge. But when I look at that series and the fact that it was Game 5 and the fact that it never, except for Game 3 where the Thunder won, it never really looked like the Thunder were in it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the fact that, this was 76ers Raptors, this was Game 7, this was like two of the best, Eastern Conference teams going at it. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. But I think skill-wise, the Damian Lillard shot was better.
Yeah.
It was like nothing but net. It was sidestep from like 30 feet. And I don't ever want to call a shot lucky. I don't know how much I believe in luck in sports. But the Kawhi Leonard shot was a little bit, not fluky, to say the least.
Well, it was fluky, though. That would be part of my argument. And there's a couple things why I think Damian Lillard shot is. You said it, like ending the Thunder era, the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook era, James Harden era completely. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Also, the flukiness, yes, is a part of it because Kawhi Leonard hits the rim 4 times.
Yeah.
Before it goes.
It's tough.
Another thing is like the culture aspect of it.
Right.
Because
it's huge.
For this is for Damian Lillard, though. Because I'm going to right here say if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, cover your ears. There's going to be some
spoiler alert. I already know what you're going to talk about.
There is spoiler alerts coming for the next 2 minutes. So maybe turn off your radio. Just wait this out. But following, previously to Damian Lillard's shot was the famous Game of Thrones episode where the White Walkers came to the wall.
Yeah.
And we know how that ended with Arya Stark stabbing.
Yeah, that was like, I remember that. That was crazy. I forget that all happened.
So we got so many memes of just Damian Lillard after he's made the shot. Everyone's on him. He's like mean mugging to the camera right next to him. And there was like an Arya. There's his face over like Arya stabbing the Night King.
That was wild.
For the culture.
I love that.
That's got to be a part of it.
Okay, that's a huge thing. I'm not totally like I'm eating it, but like I can see it. I easily see it.
All right, should I get my next hot take?
Yeah, give me your next one.
Okay, mine are like not kind of weird ones.
I kind of got that from the speed golf.
The speed golf one. Okay, baseball fields should be the size of softball fields. That is my next.
Everybody would hit like 100 home runs a year.
That is why. Because
it would mean nothing.
Well, part of it's because baseball pitchers are so good right now.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, you could say like maybe a better angle would have been like baseball players should be allowed to use like not wooden bats, steel bats.
Oh, steel.
So they'd be able to hit the ball harder.
Right.
But my thing is that we need more runs in baseball. And we need, like, if you make contact, that's impressive to me.
I think
in baseball.
I think a lot of this is coming from the fact that you're a Cubs fan, and they're struggling to score these last couple years.
Okay, I know 49 hits through 10 games is not good.
It's really bad in like a 139 average or something like that.
It's I think the second worst since like 1900 or something like that.
I do see what you're saying, right? Pitching is so intensely good right now. Mm-hmm. And that would kind of make pitching that much more important.
Yeah.
And it is like, look, hitting a baseball from an MLB pitcher is one of the most impressive, impossible things you can do.
You think it just becomes too easy?
I just think that would still be so easy for these guys that do it on a day-to-day basis, 162 games.
I'll admit that was my worst hot take that I had. So I'm willing to.
I could see like making. I'm way more for like. And I know this like takes away from like the whole baseball thing where it's like so much about like the past and tradition and like each thing is like their own and like each league has kind of some of their own rules and stuff like that. But like I'd be more for standardizing each stadium than I would be for.
See, I don't like that because I kind of like that there's like this sort of quirk with each stadium.
There is. And that's what it's so different. Each stadium is so unique.
You can't do that in like football or basketball or hockey.
Wild.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
All right, Brendyn.
Hit me again.
What's your next hot take? Oh, should I go?
Hit me again.
Okay. It's another baseball-related one.
Okay.
Wiffle ball is more exciting than baseball.
I don't watch a lot of wiffle ball.
Okay. Wiffle ball, we all know.
I've played it.
Yeah, we all know the sport.
Yeah.
It's smaller stadiums. Maybe I just like smaller stadiums. That's what we're getting at.
Sure.
But pitching in wiffle ball is insane.
Yeah, like there's a lot of movement.
There's so much movement.
Yeah.
And the way they do it is like you don't have an ump. You just have this like square plastic like strike zone. So you could literally throw it all the way behind a batter, and it could somehow touch that strike zone and be a strike. It's so exciting to see those pitches. And then if someone makes good contact, they'll just flip a bat. The celebrations are way better than in baseball. Granted, wiffle ball is not as big as baseball, so like the talent pool is not as good. But man, wiffle ball is exciting.
You know what I think they should bring back?
What?
Slam ball.
Dang, that's such a good one.
Such a good. Ball. I don't know how to put this into a hot take because I don't think slam ball is more exciting than the NFL or the NBA. But I think slam ball should be a collegiate sport.
Slam ball should be. Dang, that's a really good one.
Because at the height of it in the early 2000s, such an early 2000s ESPN The Ocho type vibe.
Was it early 2000s or late 2000s, early 2010s?
I think it's stretched for like 5 years.
Okay.
Something like that. But so for those who don't know, slam ball is a basketball game, full contact, where there's 4 trampolines by each hoop. It's full court.
It's probably more dangerous than football.
Yeah, probably. And you can, it's these it's teams of 4.
Is it 4 or 5? I don't really know.
It's between 3 or 4, but you go back and forth, and there's these guys who just jump on trampolines and dunk the basketball. Back and forth, and it's heavily because you can also. I mean, the defense. They kind of even had
4 players.
4 players. They even had their own kind of positions. They had guys that would be kind of goalies and stand back there, and their whole purpose is to be a rim defender, and that's all they would do for the whole game. So it's kind of like baseball, but with its own, or basketball, but with its own spin, and it's so exciting. The dunks these guys were doing. You'd have these full contact moments where guys would just get trucked and destroyed, taken out of the air, crazy blocks, crazy posters. And when I was a kid, I used to watch YouTube highlights of those, and it was so amazing, so exciting. That should be a collegiate sport, but it's probably very, very dangerous.
Yeah, and unlike basketball, a dunk is worth 3 points.
Yeah.
And anything other than a dunk is worth 2 points.
Right. So it's encourages contact at the rim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good take. That's all my sports takes I got. You have any more?
No.
Should we just go into the rest of our takes?
Let's do it, man.
Okay. I'll start with my food takes. Or wait, what kind of takes do you have?
I don't really have any other takes.
Okay.
So I kind of just want to hear yours.
All right.
I came in. Yeah.
No, we only have 5 minutes. So
yeah. We don't have much time.
My food takes. This one I'm so adamant about, and it's more a conspiracy theory than it is a take. Double stuffed Oreos are just the old version of regular Oreos.
I can see. I feel and this can incorporate with everything. Food has gotten smaller since I've grown up.
You think so?
Junk food.
Oh,
I feel like.
Did we just get bigger though?
No, I refuse to believe that.
My thing with double stuffed Oreos is the ratio seems different because I feel like the double stuffed Oreo is the double stuffed Oreo is the same ratio.
Mm-hmm.
But the regular Oreos are so thin because when I was a kid, I was able to fully peel it off and scrape it with my teeth. But now, if you get a regular Oreo, half of it comes off.
Yeah, it is pretty flimsy. My favorite, I love Oreos, but I love Chips Ahoy.
Okay.
The chunky, not the chunky, the blue packaged crunchy or whatever. Those have gotten thinner.
Okay.
When I was a kid, they used to be a little thicker. Now they're kind of a little thinner, and you can tell.
All right.
And it makes me angry. That's all I had to say.
All right. No. I like to hear it. All right. My next one.
Yeah.
Scrambling eggs instantly makes them worse.
Really?
Yes. This is my theory. Part of it is because I don't think you can season them as well because it's not one unified group. Okay. Although some would argue you could mix it. But my big thing is that it doesn't cook fully. Because if you're flipping an omelet, it just goes straight up, straight down. Yeah. Everything's covered. Everything's getting cooked on each side.
Okay.
It's nice and uniform. But when you're scrambling it, you might have one piece that's at the top that didn't really get cooked fully. Then you get another piece that's overcooked, and then you're trying to still tell, but you're looking through everything. It's a mess, in my opinion.
Well, I kind of take offense to this because I'm a huge scrambled eggs lover. Just love scrambled eggs. I think they're so easy to make. I think it's an art. It takes a while.
Maybe I'm just bad at making scrambled eggs.
I like making scrambled eggs because I have a gas stove at home.
Mm-hmm.
My apartment here is an electric stove,
mm-hmm.
and it gets so hot so fast, and I don't know. It's weird. There's no art to the electric. There's art to the gas stove.
Okay,
you know.
I see what you mean.
So like it's harder to cook scrambled eggs here than it is at home. But I feel like when you get a good scramble going, it's just like it's so nice. It's light. It's fluffy. It's to me it's consistent through the way. And yeah, I can see the seasoning aspect to it, but I think you just have to have that patience and just realize that hey, it's like it's a process.
All right, fair enough. My last one. This one's a really hot take.
Okay.
The food one. Red onions are one of the best toppings in pancakes.
What?
Yes, I knew you were gonna have this reaction, but people who say that.
Wait. On pancakes?
Yes. Okay, and by toppings I mean put it in the pancake, not like on top.
That's disgusting.
Okay, I'm try this though, because
no,
it's like a savory pancake. Think about like there are savory crepes. It's a savory pancake. You put some maybe chilies into it. My grandma used to make these amazing pancakes with onions with them. I'm telling you.
So what you do? You just chop up the onion.
Yeah.
Put it in the pancake batter.
Mm-hmm. You let that cook. You maybe put some chilies in there, some green chilies. It tastes good.
I don't know how to respond to this because I'm a type of person that will try any food.
Okay.
I'm not going to say no to it, but I also don't know if I want to go out of my way to make it because I haven't made pancakes in a while,
mm-hmm.
and I have wanted to do it for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
And I think I might this weekend. But am I going to buy now a red onion to be in that situation?
Hey, I got some leftover red onions. You can come over to my place and get some.
Okay. We'll figure that one out.
I got two more. I could do them really quick.
Real speed ones.
Okay. One.
That's disgusting.
It's not. You have to try it first. Okay. Tipping should not be a thing. I think like it shouldn't be a thing because the reason for tipping, it just incentivizes restaurants to pay their employees less.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say because tipping, because restaurants don't pay servers enough,
mm-hmm.
I think should happen. But I agree that they should be paid because like you can get away with, because of tipping, you can get away with not paying servers minimum wage. And that's not okay. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and I'd rather see like a $15 bill that I know I have to pay than like a $13 bill plus where I have to tip. Right. And I'm like, is this the right amount? I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about it.
All right.
So tipping should not be.
I think you have the good thought process.
And the last one, I'm sorry, but this is kind of addressing the women that compete in The Bachelor.
Okay.
Anyone who doesn't put their arms in sleeve holes should be fined.
What do you mean?
So, okay, this happens a lot in The Bachelor where these women will just put on a jacket and their arms will be down low.
Okay, I'm there with you.
And every time I see it, it frustrates the heck out of me.
Because you just want them to put on the jacket fully.
Yeah, why do you have the jacket then? Why do you have the sleeves?
Yeah,
like
they try to wear it like a what is it, like a shawl?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's supposed to be like a fashion statement.
That doesn't irritate me as much as I can see it visibly irritates you.
It does. It visibly irritates.
So I can't speak on it, but I can see where that's coming from. Like, just put it on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Nithin, for carrying this hot take section. I think our best hot take, though.
I think it was yours, the slam ball one.
It was either that or I think just how hot of the onion pancake cake that was. I'm gonna try it. I don't know when, don't know why, but I'm going to.
WPGU, put this on your breakout videos or whatever.
Please do. But yeah, that's gonna leave it for this weekend. Gabby and Josh will be in the studio tomorrow talking about y'all, all Illini stuff. But for me, for Nithin, man, have a good weekend. Have a great weekend. It's been Illini Drive 107.1 WPGU.